Yeah, so speaking of school and maybe going away from all that online learning, because that's what everyone is talking about now. But the green school specifically is quite a unique environment, right? And the green school is a place that I think, speaking from the lines of the school, raising a generation of change makers, we're taught to be these young, innovative green leaders of the future. And with all this in mind, did you ever feel kind of the pressures of having to amount to something as what's expected of a green school student?
I never did, because I was just kind of like, yeah, I'll just kind of
Chill out.
do whatever I want to do. And throughout high school, there were phases where I was like, oh, college is stupid. And like, I think I was just kind of being a little edgy or whatever, like when I was in grade 9 or something. But then like in grade 10, I was like, or maybe like college could be a good idea, like if I wanted to do something. And then like grade 11, I'm like, maybe it's just not really for me. And so I'm not going to college this year, but I'm gonna go and just take a gap year. And I've happened to do stuff that is quite green. I'm gonna be working on a permaculture farm and
cool.
doing lots of stuff with gardening and permaculture, and then hopefully go do some tree planting like a year like next year.
Wow, you're like the prime green school student, like the advocate for green school.
Yeah, no, so it happens to be that I did those things, so
But
I
do you
guess
feel like a few of the students feel that pressure of like, this is what the school stands for and this is what we need to come out doing?
I don't actually know. I don't feel like I've talked to it about this with my friends that much, but I feel like most of my friends are just, I don't actually know what most kids from most schools like end up to go do, and I don't know what my friends are really going to do either. But I think they're just all have really creative things that they're super passionate about.
Right.
Like friends that are super interested in building cars and kind of robotics and stuff, or friends who are super interested in music or fashion, which I think happens like in any school. And I just think that just somewhere deep down there, there's a little bit of sustainability ingrained in them. Like maybe the person who goes with fashion does sustainable fashion, or the person who's doing music advocates for, or maybe not, like maybe that's not how you do it, but maybe you just, I feel like there's lots of different ways to be a green leader.
Right.
Or maybe not lots of different ways. Like you can be a green leader, but like what I'm maybe going to do,
way.
like I'm not like leading this huge movement. I'm just going to work on a farm.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So it builds a kind of group of sustainable people, but not necessarily in a massive global scale, but just in your own little community too.
Yeah. I would say. Like 99.99% of students that leave green school are gonna have like some sort of sustainability or just kind of that green mentality somewhere. Some, it might be what they want to do, like be an activist or something like that, and some it might just be a lot smaller, and some will never care about it ever again. But
do you think that's a lot of the students?
No, I don't.
I think a lot of us tend to go towards the environmental.
And I think definitely the kids, and when I say that some maybe won't kind of just forget about it, and I think those are kids who've only been here for maybe a year or came years ago and then left, and they're so, but I don't know, maybe somewhere down there it is there, so.
But there's definitely still some sort of environmental mindset, whether it's a smaller or larger scale.
Yeah.
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 And these unique aspects of the school, what do you think are some of the advantages or the disadvantages of going to a school like this, green school?
Yeah. It can, the amount of like documentaries that I've been shown at green school, like like whether it's about like quality or like the environment or anything like that, like the first time I see it, it's great. And even though sometimes they are a bit boring, but like I've seen so many videos like over and over again and for years, and I wouldn't say it doesn't happen as much anymore, but it would just be like people coming in and like talking about forests being destroyed, which are all important things to talk about, but sometimes it could be quite depressing.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, it's not like we weren't like in like danger or anything, like it wasn't like super affecting us, but it's just kind of like sometimes it is nice to have more like positive, which would also happen, like people would come with crazy new innovative ideas and things like that, but it's just a lot. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to think about, like, and then so maybe it can be, and like when you're at the green school, like are you going to save the world or things like that. And maybe some people feel that pressure. I did not really. I don't. But I just, like, now at this age, I'm kind of like, green school has just been like throwing stuff at us for years, and like some of it's kind of stuck on. And so I just, okay, you're talking about advantages and disadvantages. Sorry,
yeah.
I went off.
But I love when conversations go off on a tangent.
I would say kind of the advantage of it is like green school kids, and more schools are doing this now, but like green school kids are very educated about kind of global issues, or environmental issues, definitely global issues for the most part. And I think we're just kind of very educated and have a better understanding about kind of sustainable ideas and a sustainable ideology than most kids from other schools just around the world in general. Obviously there's other schools like the green school are doing similar things, but then I would say the disadvantage, which I don't think is a disadvantage, is just, I mean, it can just be overwhelming.
Okay.
Or what were you going to say?
I was just going to say depends on person to person, I think.
Yeah, that's true. To some, I mean...
But you're saying, like, the amount of difficult news that comes in can be a little bit overwhelming. Yeah. To the point where it makes you almost apathetic, right? Like you think, oh, we're not, what can I do? Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just no good for anyone. Yeah. But, I mean, no, but I don't, that's not... Like, at the end of my experience at green school, that's not how I feel. I don't feel like, oh God, the world's it's awful and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it is awful sometimes, but I personally, obviously, everyone at the green school is different. Everyone in my class is different, and I'll maybe feel different about this in like a month or something, who knows. But I feel very kind of just, after being at the green school, just kind of have a very hopeful mentality for myself and kind of for the world or whatever communities I put myself into.
So it ends up being like a great space to build that optimism and hopefulness for the future.
Yes, for me, 100%.
Yeah. I think so too. Like for me, and also makes you kind of instead of, I think every person always has a choice when they see injustice or they see difficult issues. Green school builds the types of people who will do something about it instead of being like, oh, that's so sad. Just be like, okay, well, that's sad, but what can I do to fix that? Yeah. Which is,